When I interview a person, I try to hook up to one thing in that person that I like. Maybe his attitude, maybe his voice, maybe her looks, maybe the way he or she smiles. Something to hook up to, and I hook up to that thing, and I like it, and I connect to it. And the moment you connect with an interview with something, this is a human thing. There is nothing I can do about it. You know, if I like somebody, if you like somebody, most likely that person will like you in return. So if I hook up with something that I like, and it works. I spent 15 years in university. I studied mathematics, I studied computer science, I studied finance, I studied journalism, and I studied theater. I write for theater, I direct for theater, produce theater, which is fiction, basically. And then, as a journalist, writing no-fiction, it's very different, of course. But what it helps me in the dramatic world, for example, because I can take an interview that by itself is boring, and I put in between the words, I connect the dots between one question and another, for example, in a way that gives it more life. So this really, really helps. And for example, in studying mathematics, helps me also in writing, because I know that if I bring up a story in a book, for example, or in an article, I cannot just bring it up and not refer to it later. It's like in theater. And in theater, as we all know, if you have a gun in Act 1, the gun should go off by no later than the epilogue, right? I'm not denying it. I'm like fat, a little fat. And I'm dressing in all kinds of things. You know, this actually belongs to the grandmother of my wife. And I have this John Lennon glasses or whatever, red glasses, yellow glasses, every time I change it. And before I actually make the interview, I chat with the person, we laugh a little bit, we touch. It's very important to touch the person, you know. We discuss who is more sexy, she or me, he or me, you know, these kind of questions, you know. And we talk about all kinds of things. And then we go to the interview. And because of the dialogue, and because of my approach, which is basically theatrical, you know, because you try to delve, first of all, before you get information about the person for which you got to make the interview, what the person thinks, before that, you try to get the characteristic of the person. And when the person feels that you have interest in him or in her, the person immediately becomes softer, which means more willing to actually share with you, the interviewer, what they really think. Many times I get from interviewees much more than other people, other journalists. Let's say I come in to interview you, and I come and I dress very nice, white shirts, beautiful tie, you know, and I look very elegant, and I have very nice shoes, very nice pants, you know, everything is nice. And I come to you and I say, Martin, may I ask you a question, please? And you immediately comes like, whoop, you have a distance, because people don't talk like that. This is what the journalists talk, but people don't talk like that. So you immediately become, I am from the BBC, and I would like to ask you. You immediately go like, it's like BBC, everybody's going to see you, your papa, mama, your lover, your two lovers, I don't know how many lovers you have, but, you know, it's like everybody's going to see you. So you become very, well, no, let me not talk. But if I come to you and say, hello, Marta, I love the way you look. You look so sexy. You look so beautiful. I've never met a person with such a beautiful nose. So you immediately come relax. And then you start laughing with the jokes. And then I can say, Marta, may I ask you some questions? Yeah, I happen to be a journalist, if you don't mind. You know, I'm a German journalist. I would like to ask you a question. I write for a German paper, and I write for a German publishing company, so it makes me a German journalist, right? I also happen to be Jewish, and I was born in Israel. But if I go to a place, I don't know about Czech Republic, but in the rest of the world, at least in the Western world, or even in Israel, and I say that I am Jewish, people tend not to trust you because there is so much anti-Semitism still in our day and time. People hate Jews. Tell them you are from Israel or tell them you are Jewish and they immediately block it. They are not going to even meet you. But if you say you are German, people love the Germans. Don't ask me why, but they love, especially fat Germans with Schleikers. And they trust them. And they tell to this German guy everything they think. What I get is a lot. I get what people really think. I get what people really feel. Just came back, for example, from Britain, and this time, in British politics and in British reality, everybody would be talking to you about Brexit, right? But guess what? No, they don't talk about something else. And finally, they found these Germans that they can share exactly what they think about. And what bothers them? Israel. The Jews. Usually you would not say it, to a normal person. But now they got opportunity in me, this German, this lovable German, sexy German, to tell him what they really think. And I say, tell me, what do you care about? Tell me what bothers you. What the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. Free Palestine. And I say, can you tell me where Palestine is? Because I don't know. Guess what? Most often they don't even know where Palestine is. Like when I was in Germany, I would tell people that I'm Polish, for example, which also works very well, And I remember talking to people, to students in Munich, because the German government opened the door to many more refugees than any other country. By this time, about 2 million people from the Middle East mainly. And this young student sit there with his friends, and he says to me, we have done something that no other country has done. We have proven that we are better than anybody else. We are the least racist because we are the best. It's an oxymoron statement, because that's exactly what... And then I said, excuse me, are you saying you are the best? Isn't it what the Nazis said? Deutschland über alles? Isn't it the same thing? And the guy comes and he says, are you Jewish? I say, why? Would you even dream that I am a Jew? This is an offense to the Polish people. And he says to me, because of your questioning, because of this is a Jewish logic. I mean, here's a guy with his friends, and they all agree, is supposed to be the most unracist, the most believing in equality, the one who believes in everything, peace and love, and from his mouth comes out the most horrible anti-Semitic statements. And then he tells me, we are much better than Israel. Israel is a subhuman place, but we are proven that we are the best. The more cultures you know, the more varieties of human expression you know, the more forms and permutations of human reality you know, the more it opens your mind, to learn much more and to see the limitless opportunities and the limitless possibilities that humanity can reach. If you're only in one country, only in one culture, you know only one thing. But you might be misleading yourself, because when you move to another country, you see exactly the opposite. So the more countries you go, the more possibilities you see of the human mind, how far it stretches. And the less likely you are to judge people. And the least you judge people, the less enemies you feel exist in the world. And the less enemies that you feel exist in the world, the more comfortable and confident you are, and the less fearful you are going to be